Welcome back to the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. I'm your host Richard, and here at Coding Fanatic, I'm all about helping new Android developers grow quickly, whether it comes to committing to your projects, learning new skills, or even finding the best ways to work with other people. My job is to take these lessons that I've learned and pass my learning things on to you. And if that sounds like content that you are interested in, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, and you'll see when I upload new videos like this each week. Also, head over to the Coding Fanatic website, join the mailing list, and you'll be the first to know when new content's available, and you'll get extra words that I don't put out on other social media platforms. Road to Pro is a series where I go over some of the lessons I've learned regarding soft skills and how they pertain to your road to becoming a professional Android developer. Even if you're looking at other areas of software development, a lot of this content is still very relatable, so stay tuned. Now, someone recently reached out to me on LinkedIn for some help with a coding test. We'll call them Block. Now, Block was a little troubled because they were working on a coding test for a position using Google's AR Core, which is their augmented reality stuff that they have. They were using AR Core to build some type of application, and they got stuck. So they reached out to me for some help, and I gave them I came up with a pretty good summary of things to look for when you're doing a coding test, regardless of your skill level. Block had run into a lot of bugs with their final submission, and they were approaching the due date or deadline, so they reached out to me for a little assistance on what to do. The first thing I would suggest you do, if you're in a similar situation where you did a coding test and you end up with a whole heap of bugs, the first thing you do is make a note of all the bugs. Now, I don't mean just in the code itself, but write it down somewhere or copy and paste it. But make note of the compiler errors or issues that you're having when you compiled your project, so that you know exactly which areas you made mistakes in. In Block's case, they're working with AR Core. So if you ran into a bunch of bugs, note them somewhere, and this way, if you're looking to specialize in AR Core, then you can research these bugs and see what a typical fix might be for these issues. Another thing that I would suggest is, regardless of how confident you feel, copy and paste your submission somewhere else. Save it in a text file or something like that. You want to be able to look back and see, review your code and see how you did. If you had any compiler errors, then this will give you a good way to not only know what errors to research, but see the parts of your code that caused this issue. So now when you're looking to research this technology further, you have a good jumping off point. In fact, because you kept your code, you might even be able to recompile it and get it up and running and see what the finished product should look like. So definitely you want to make note of any bugs that you have, and also save your code somewhere else when you're doing these coding tests. Another method you could try after copying and pasting your code, you can, if you're able to debug it, you can reach out to the company or recruiter again later on and let them know, hey, listen, I continue working on this thing. I know that I didn't have the best submission last time, but I actually was able to fix it. This is my finished product. I know where I went wrong, and I'd love to talk to you more about maybe another opportunity or something like that. Something along those lines, just to let them know that you're actually interested in working with the company and you want to continue to learn. I mean, if I gave you a test and you failed it, and you came back to me later, and I had no interest, no plan of talking to you ever again or seeing you again, and you come back to me and say, hey, listen, I went over my test, I know I failed it, I found the areas where I messed up, and I fixed them. So could we talk about maybe another position or something like that? I'd be pretty impressed. I'd be flattered too. It's like, dang, this person really wants to work for me. All right, come on down. So, hey, you never know. Give it a shot. Getting back on the topic of your bugs, if you have any, write a detailed bug report of each bug. So talk about what the expected functionality is and what happened, and then highlight a potential cause that you think might be responsible for it. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, if I don't have all the experience in the world and I'm new to this, then how am I supposed to do all that? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. This is important because when you make it into the development environment, if you're a developer, you're going to potentially work with a team of people who do software testing. So you're going to have QA people or QC people. And the biggest thing with bug fixes is properly documenting them, as well as the steps to reproduce the error, so that you can give people an actionable thing to say, when I do this bug happens. It's not supposed to happen. So now that I know which part of the work, I've isolated the workflow responsible for this bug. So as a developer going in to fix it, you know which areas of code to search for, to look for, to comb for these bugs. If you just were to say, oh, well, this didn't work, and this didn't work, and this other thing didn't work. Like, imagine you are on a Netflix website, and, you ran into some issue. You log in your PlayStation, go on to Netflix, and then you submit a bug report to Netflix saying, oh, the video doesn't work. Well, that doesn't give anyone any pertinent information. Now, if you were to go and say, well, when I watch season 1, episode 2 of Black Mirror, and I press play, I see a loading bar, and it keeps on going, and stays at 100. It says 100%, but it keeps going. The episode doesn't play. Any other episode, it works perfectly fine. But when I try to play this specific episode of Black Mirror, of this show, I press play, and I get a loading screen, and nothing happens. Well, now you've given the developers something to work on, so they can actually go into the web app and reproduce your error, because you've given them the steps and you told them what's going on. So it might sound like this is a more simple example for just to express an idea, but it's important that you understand why you need to document these bugs properly. And if you can show that understanding early in the interview process, before you've even gotten the job, and even if you might come in and say, well, I don't have all the experience in the world with this technology or this tech stack, but hey, I know how to document the hell out of bugs. They might bring you on a QA position, and you might be able to make a move into development at a later date, as opposed to having no approach whatsoever in terms of, oh, well, this is how I document bugs, and just saying, well, the coding test asked me to do this, I couldn't really do it, so I guess I failed. Time to apply to another job. You want to exhaust all your options. So that detailed bug report, very important. Come across any issues while you're building your app, or any bugs, then write a detailed bug report of each of them that you'll hand in along with your code submission. The last piece of advice I'll give you is, you don't need to code everything. Don't be afraid to use pseudocode where you don't know how to do something. This actually happened to me during a coding interview, where I didn't get the position in the end. But what happened, they sat me down and they gave me the coding tests, and I didn't really know what to do exactly, so I tried Googling stuff and trying to throw something together, and it ended up not working. But after I didn't get the position, but the person in charge of the interview said, next time you're in a situation, like next time you have a coding test, just use pseudocode. You didn't have to actually provide a full solution. You see, they're not always looking for someone to just give them a solution. They expect that as a developer, you're going to run into issues and hit walls sometimes. Anyone with any type of experience in this industry already understands that. You won't always know the answer, but you should be able to articulate the result that you're looking for and what you want your product to do in order to achieve that result. So, we can take it back to Netflix. If they wanted to add a feature that let you restart the episode, right? This was not always, and this is perfect because this wasn't always a feature on the Netflix application. Let's say you were watching an episode and you wanted to start over. Well, you could add a button that when you press it, it lets you restart the episode. But you might not know all the code needed for coding this into the app. So you could say something like, you could have a method that you write called restart app. And that method might actually be a void method that's empty. It doesn't return any data or anything like that, but it has code that when you invoke this method, the episode starts from 0. So to take it a step further, you could add a listener, add a button, attach a listener, and that listener invokes the restart episode method. Then within the restart episode method, you have just a block of code, a block of text. It doesn't have to actually be code, but a block of text that says that set the time position of the episode to 0, and this will then restart the timer all the way at the beginning and allowing the user to view the episode from the beginning. That's it. Again, you don't have to know everything about building it from the ground up, but if you can show the people in charge that, hey, I understand what you're going for here, and here's a general frame of what that would look like. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the final solution. But if you can show them, hey, I understand this. I know exactly what needs to be done. I might not know all the code off the top of my head, but I know what we're looking for, and I'm pretty sure that I know how to find it. I'm confident that I know what we're looking for and I know how to find it. Then you're good to go. And this actually helped me in a position that I applied for once, where I actually, when I got the role, I talked to the engineer that I interviewed with, and they told me that the reason why they hired me over everyone else was because I was the only one to provide an explanation of what I wanted the product to do. I didn't have the coding experience, but I was able to frame it in a way that said, hey, I know what this is missing. I don't know how to do it, but I know that this is what I want it to look like. And this is the best way to go about it. So this is just to recap, you don't have to know everything there is to know about coding. If you can provide the pseudocode and explain your solution properly, then sometimes that's even better. And before I go, final piece of advice, have fun. It's a coding test. It's not the end of the world. You haven't even gotten the job yet. This is not like you're trying to fight to protect your job or anything like that. You just relax. You haven't even gotten the job yet. Go in, take a look at the test, do what you can with it, and have fun. And who knows, you might get it, you might not. Worst case scenario, they don't hire you for a job, but you still got to spend a little time, giving your brain a little exercise. So, have fun and do what you can with it. But don't get stressed out, don't get bent out of shape. It's just, it's a job at the end of the day. It's one coding test. I wouldn't trip over it. And sometimes you might not do as well as one other person, and then that person turns down the job for whatever reason, and then, well, hey, you came in second, so want to come work here? I mean, they won't tell you, obviously, but, the point is, don't get bent out of shape. There will be many coding tests, there's going to be a lot of companies, but at the end of the day, there is only one of you. Thank you all again for tuning in to the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. Again, I'm your host, Richard. If you like content like this, hit like, comment, and subscribe below. Turn on notifications, all that good stuff. If you didn't like it, tell me why in the comment box below. And also, if you did like it, tell me why. Join the mailing list on codingfanatic.com. You'll be the first to know when new content's made readily available, and you'll get the extra words each week in the mailing list that I don't put out on social media. Again, guys, just have fun with it. Don't stress out. It's a coding test. It's not the end of the world. But if you go in there with the right weapons on your tool belt, then man, you're ready for anything. And the whole point is that you want to show that you're confident and you're willing to learn. Whatever you don't know, you're willing to learn. You know you can do it. And what you do know, you're very confident in. That's it. Any company that is worthwhile will see the value in that. And let's just hope that you outrank everybody else who applied. But yeah. Thank you all again for tuning in, and Block ended up not getting the position after all, but he's out there and he's applying for more jobs, and Block, I wish you the best of luck, buddy. So, and to the rest of you as well, good luck. So yeah, I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm signing out, and again, follow me on social media, leave comments if you like content like this, and yeah, until next time, guys, I will see you in the next one. Peace.